All right, well, hey everybody, Rob Satch from Feedbackwrench. I help entrepreneurs. I want to help you grow your business. I want to inspire you to step out, and we talk about liberty and freedom and building wealth. Really, we just want to help people move upward and forward in their life. Today, I want to show you if you are building your own website, whether you're a business owner or you're writing your own blog, or you just have your own website, maybe on Squarespace. Maybe you're on WordPress. I don't care where you are. I want to help you do this better. Okay. And one of the things that I bump into all the time is maybe you have a small business website and you post stuff on there and you don't know the importance of your file size. I want to show you how to find out how Google is treating your web page, your specific web page, so that you can optimize it properly. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple of very specific things. Now, I'm using a Windows PC right now. I usually have an Apple laptop, and then I got a whole cockamamie situation here, but I'm telling you, this is going to be real quick, bottom line things that you can do. So here I've got, this is a blog post that I have, okay, and I just popped it up here. So this is my video, how to get B2B clients, 13 actionable ideas, going to our YouTube channel. I'm telling you, this is a good one. These are golden practical advice. But here's what you would do. Let's just say you have this blog post that you made, or maybe it's an example of your work that you've shown. It could be a blog post. It could be a sub page on your website. It doesn't matter what it is. We want to see how Google is looking at it, right? And there's two tools that you can use, and I'm going to show you what they are. So if you head over to Google and you type PageSpeed or Google PageSpeed, what you'll see is this tool called the Google PageSpeed Insights. So it's developers.google.com. We're actually gonna take that one web page and we're gonna throw it in here. So I copied that URL, I pasted this URL. We're gonna find out how Google is looking at this. Now the prioritization to Google is a number of different things. There's some basic top level stuff, and then there's some very granular things. And what this is going to do is this is going to show us some things that we can do, and it can get very confusing. So as I put this in there, it crawled the site, and what it's doing is it's looking at it to give me insights on how to optimize it so that they treat it even better. This has nothing to do with the actual content and everything to do with the nuts and bolts of the data and the systems of the actual website. And this is probably worth showing you. Remember that if I right click on a web page and go to view page source, this is what is inside of a website. Behind the scenes is a whole bunch of code, right? And that code is pulling up and rendering in this manner here. So this is my text. I've got my video on there, but that's ultimately what's going on. Now, what this did is it shows me the mobile and the desktop version. So I get an 82 out of 100 for desktop, and I get a 35 out of 100 for mobile. And I know why I'm getting this. I've actually kind of set myself up for failure because most of my stuff is so awesome. Now, when we set up websites for people, we work really hard to make sure that we're using the fastest tools available. But here's what we're going to look at. There's stuff in this that you can control, and there's stuff that you can't. If you're in WordPress and you do this, you're going to get a lot of goofy stuff. It's going to have to do with delaying CSS code and lazy loading images and all of this other stuff. Here's what you can control. Primarily your images. Okay, so defer off-screen images. What you want to look for is, so this is off-screen images, but you want to click through here, and what you'll see is anytime there's an image over here, it'll show you the size, and then it'll show you some potential savings. That's not the real point here. The point is to find anything that's very large. Okay, now if you have, and this is one of the biggest things, you don't want to put big images on your website. You just don't. It's not good for the user experience. It can take a long time to load. Remember that there's still giant swaths of even the American population that have very slow internet. But here's how you would do this. Okay, you'll see the actual link to your images right here, and when you click it, here's my image. I can zoom in. This is a big image. Now I'm going to right click and I'm going to save this image. Okay, and I'm going to show you real quick. Ultimately, all we want to do is we would want to go in and find out where this image is. I know where this image is in this blog post. It's being used right here. It's kind of ugly. I don't spend too much time on that blog post, but I know where that is. Here's another one. So this is like it's on this blog post. It's down a little bit further. So I'm going to save those two files. Now, once I save them, I'm going to say, let's show in folder. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and I think you can just open it, but you might not open it in the Photos app. There's a chance that it could open in Paint and a bunch of other things. what I'm going to do is I'm going to use photos. So if you right click on your photo and you go to open with, and you make sure that you open this with photos, this will pop up. Okay, so here's your screen. This is the image that we have. Okay, kind of an ugly one, but here's how we want to reduce this to a very small file size. So you have the quality and then the actual size of the canvas. You may not want to mess with this too much, but here's all you do. In the upper right hand corner, there's these 3 little dots, and you go to resize. So hit the 3 little dots up in the upper right hand corner, go to save as. On a Mac, you open it up in preview, and then you go to file and export. And then what you want to do is you want to save it in a JPEG, and then you want to crank it way down. But so what we want to do is resize, and I'm going to define custom dimensions here. So I've got 1280 by 720. That's the original. If I were to make that bigger than the original, it would stretch it out and look really bad. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to drive this way down to like 30%. And I'm going to hit save resized copy. I'm going to put it back in the same folder. I got the same, so I'm going to add something on there because it's named the same thing. So I added a 1. And now what you'll see is, let's go into that download folder. I'm going to move fast here. I got a couple more things, so please don't click off here. I'm desperate for your watch time. So here we went from 328 kilobytes down to 49 kilobytes. That's going to help big time. Here's another tool you can examine. So you go through, you do that to all your images, you update the images. So now I would go into my blog if I was in WordPress, and I would find out where this is, and I would replace it with this reduced size image, right? And what that's going to do is I'm going to go from 440 down to 48, 330 down to 30 kilobytes. You want things to be like 100 kilobytes or under. Really pay attention to that. Unless you have an image that you're going to click in and examine really close, that's probably 99% of what you can control. You're going to have stuff in here that you really can't control. It's usually minifying JavaScript, removing the unused CSS. You can't mess with that. What you can do is you can make sure that you've got your images optimized, and there's much more that you can do. Your tools your hosting has a lot to do this if you have really cheap hosting, but if I were to go in and update this, I would bet I would score at about a 70 after I did that. Now here's another tool. This is provided by HubSpot. So if you just Google HubSpot website grader, Grader, so it's website.grader.com, and you come here. This is pretty cool. Now you're going to get into their marketing system here, and I'm going to be making another video. HubSpot has the best free tool for you to use as a business owner, but this is going to analyze our website. So I'm going to just type in my company email there, and what this is going to do is look at some common things here. So the first thing to optimize your page for just basic use is to make sure that your images are small. You also want to make sure that the text makes sense. But here, this is going to give us a quick little snapshot of some important things, right? You have the overall page size in megabytes. We know that that's big. I need to reduce that. The number of page requests have to do with how many things are on the, how many videos, how many images, how many little plugins and things are going on. And then you have your actual page speed. Down here you have browser caching. Is that turn on or off? That's important. If you have a WordPress site, you need to use a plugin like WP Cache is a very good plugin you put in, and all that's going to do is store a version of the website so that it gets served up a little bit faster. You have page directs. That means if there's a page that can't get called up. You have compression. That's very important. And then render blocking. Having all those isn't so turnkey in WordPress. The websites that we build all have that built in, whether we do it on Squarespace, WordPress, or our Feedbackwrench. We use Webflow, which is phenomenal. Then you have mobile. Is it mobile responsive or not? That's important. If it's not, that means when it shrinks down and it's on a small screen, can you read it, or do you have to pinch and zoom, right? Now you have SEO. So for SEO, what you'll see here is it's going to rate, do you have the fundamentals? And the fundamentals are, let's just look at this. So if I type in site : and then paste in my URL, this will show me how this looks. So liking Google reviews - Feedbackwrench. This is my meta title. Okay. This is my meta description. And then this is the actual slug. So when you go in here, you have page titles. Do I have a page title? Yes. And it's also going to look, do I have a meta description? Well, this one doesn't like my description because it's a little too long. Whatever. Headings. Do you have headings that are in H1, H2, H3, which are, so you've got this. That's a page title. Then you've got different headings, right? These are the headings. They're marked as H1, H2, H3. Should only have one H1, maybe one or two H2s, and maybe three or four H3s and 4s and whatnot. And then you have a sitemap. Now, a sitemap, if you're on WordPress, you have to use Yoast or WP SEO. Basically, you have to use Yoast is the best. And what will happen is you come to your site and it's, feedbackwrench.com/sitemap.xml. And essentially what this is doing is there's a sitemap, and you could go through this, and it's like a skeleton of your entire site. Well, what you do is, and this is another great tip. So you analyze your site in Google PageSpeed. You analyze your site here. I'm going to show you one more step here, but you got to make sure you got page titles, meta description, headings, sitemap. This is a good checker. Do you have all the basics? And then you have security. Notice up here I've got a little lock. That's because this website has an SSL. SSLs are an encryption tool that allow your website to be more secure, and it's very important that you have that nowadays. You need an SSL. If you go up to a website and in the upper left-hand corner, it just says http:// rather than HTTPS. When it has an S, that means it's secure, and you should see locks for the most part. Every once in a while, you can have a hiccup in there, but all the websites we have come with those, and we have hosting that's always up to date. It's Amazon hosting. If you want a website, we'll get you set up straight. But let me show you one other tool here. So I have this sitemap. I want to show you, here's an extra little thing. Stay tuned to figure out how to make sure that your website is crawled by Google properly. Now, Google's going to find your website unless you're working against it. It's going to find it, and it's going to work with it. But there's another tool in here called your Webmaster tools by Google. Okay, so you're going to go into the Google Webmaster tools, and essentially, so you can get started here, and it's called the Search Console. And what you'll want to do is follow the directions in here, but you sign in. Now, I've got a whole bunch of I got a lot of different accounts in here, okay? But up here, you can see all of your different things, and if you go to all the different websites, if you go to Add Property, what you can do is you can add your website in here. Now, you'll either add the domain or the URL prefix. URL, if you just type in your URL, it's pretty much going to let you, as long as you've done your Google Analytics, which is another step, okay? But when you do the domain, what you have to do is you log into GoDaddy or log into Google Domains or whatever it is, and you're going to go in and you're going to go into your DNS settings, and it's going to give you a little code that you will add in there. And then once that's there, you wait a second and it verifies it, and it kind of they want to make sure you own the website, right? So add this into the Search Console, and then you get all sorts of cool stuff. The Search Console is absolutely amazing. So I've got the overview. This is just my views on search in the last couple months, right? Then you've got you can go to search results and see which terms. So here are the queries that were actually, so A7S3, I've got a couple pages ranking for that, my business name. You can show which pages now over the last, let's just say for the last 30 days, over the last 28 days, which pages are ranking on Google search. So what is actually getting shown? So here we've got total clicks, people that clicked on something, how many impressions you had, the click-through rate, the average position. You can see all this, and you'll see that I told people how to fix Gmail really well. And I've got an A7S3, and I've got a couple multiple domains. I have a couple blog posts that get some clicks. I don't spend a ton of time doing this for my own site. I focus on YouTube, right? So that would allow you to get your site updated. And then what you'll do is you'll come down here to Sitemaps, and you take that URL of your sitemap, and you, not that one, but it's this one, this feedbackwrench.com/sitemap.xml. That's what Yoast and our tool and a bunch of other tools, that's the actual URL. And you submit it, you hit submit. Not that. You put that in there. And what it'll do is anytime you have a new blog update, it will go in and it more easily detects what's happening. That's a really important thing to do. Remember that when you get set up with SEO, that's the basics. Now, I'll just end with this, right? So Google Webmaster tool is very important. Here's another one that you might not think about. Bing Webmaster, okay? If you're optimizing your site, You want to set up the same thing and go to Bing Webmaster Tools. Trust me, it's relevant. You may not think about it, but it is, okay? So this is another big tip that you want to do when you're optimizing your websites. I'm not going to go in here, but long story short, you'll do the exact same thing for Microsoft. If you don't think Bing is relevant, you have not been around a baby boomer getting their new Windows desktop and just searching something. There's a huge swath of the population that doesn't go and change their browser. They don't change their search tool or their primary search tool in their computer. They don't care. And I tell you what, Bing ads, Webmaster tools are two huge things for SEO on your website. And let's just hit two more here, okay? So you have your Google My Business. If you're a local business now, we'll add this. We'll be done here. So you want to make sure that you do your google.com/business and open this up, get it verified, because what that actually is when you do concrete companies near me, and here you have ads, but down here you've got the local snippet, okay? This is a Google My Business profile, so TF Concrete, this is going to show us this is their Google My Business. Google My Business is where you get reviews. It's incredibly important for you to have this, to build it out and to focus on this big time for your marketing. If you like the idea of this, so this is local SEO optimization. Now here's another thing, Bing Places. Bing Places. This is the Microsoft version of it. You need to do Bing Places. Submit your stuff to Bing Places. That's local SEO optimization. Fill that out. Get a great description. Here's another one. Apple Maps Submit Business. I can't remember what it's called. It's like mapsconnect.apple.com. Mapsconnect.apple.com. You will have to have an Apple ID in order to do this, but make sure that you submit your stuff to Apple Maps. And that's the core of local SEO, your Google My Business, your Bing Places, all your social media platforms, and then Apple Maps. You do that, you're putting your company in the right area for local SEO optimization. So I hope that's helpful. Optimize your pages, make sure you have fast images. Go on to this website.grader.com and you can find out the basics of your web page, right? Now this is doing each page. You'd have to check out each page to do this and find out if you have the good basics. Is it fast? Does it work? Do you have the titles? You might not have those. You want to make sure you do that right. And then come in and set up this Google Search Console, Webmaster Tools or Search Console. Make sure you have a Google My Business set up. Set up Bing Places. The Bing Places tool is equally as important. You'll want to make sure you get that. And then you have the Apple Maps. You submit that. That's going to help you for optimization. Good luck, guys. We're going to have a podcast coming up pretty quick where we're going to be interviewing entrepreneurs and showing that. Thank you so much. Good luck in everything you do, folks.